Hi, I'm Dave, welcome to the channel and welcome to another Tinker Time, which is me doing a job I've been meaning to get round to for ages and having a chat with you at the same time. And today's job is related to Carrera VW buses. So the first two that Carrera released were these two, then they released these two, and this job is prompted by the fact that they've said they're going to release another two fairly imminently, one of which is going to be a Martini bus, and the other one is going to be a fire bus, presumably to go with the ambulance. So, I bought these two when they came out, and I bought these two when they came out. I'm undoubtedly going to buy the next two when they come out, because I have a little plan somewhere along the line to build myself a VW bus car show as part of my scenery. So, I love a VW bus. We might as well have several of them and have a VW show. So I'll put these two aside because these two are fine. These two, there's a little bit of a story in that when I was at UK Slotfest in 2024, Rob Sale said to me, I've just bought two Carrera cars off Rahul, but they've got digital chips in and I don't need the digital chips. So you can have the digital chips if you give me some analog ones back, because the analog ones have a switch which allows you to run a car both ways round a track, analog. And Rob likes that because he's got a Scalextric analog track, and with these he can run them both ways round. It's nice and easy. I don't know why Scalextric don't put one in themselves really. They've got that DPR door, they really could. So I was umming and ahhing about whether to buy these two, especially this one, because I wasn't sure about the livery, but it's grown on me since. I kind of like it now. And because Rob had said that, and I was umming and ahhing, and I was at Slotfest, it was like, well, okay, so if I go and buy two analog buses and take the chips out, you can give me the two digital chips and we're all happy. And this is what we did at Slotfest. But I didn't put the digital chips back in these two buses. As a result, time has passed, other cars have come along, and I thought, oh, I really should put digital chips in those. And I used the digital chips that were intended for these. However, I was quite clever about it from the point of view that I already had a spare analog one. And then when I got the 4 Carrera Next Gen NAS cars, I got 3 digital ones and an analog one, because it was cheaper. And then took the digital chip that was intended for one of these that I had left and pulled out the analog chip, so that I've got 2 analog chips to put in these 2 buses while I have a chat with you. So this is today's Tinker Time job. I have of course got a screwdriver and some coffee, because you can't do slot car jobs without both. Cheers. So let's take one of these apart. Now, I like these Carrera buses. They are completely impractical as slot cars. You can't really race them. I mean, even with the magnets in. This is why they're going analog again, because I kind of realised that 2 on a track is fine, but 4 is, it's just a nightmare when there's things that are this big and they're relatively unstable and topple over. I've left the magnets in them and everything. But so yeah, digital would just, well, it would be loud apart from anything else. These things rattling together, deafening. So yeah, what I've got is 2 buses that need a chip putting in them. So while we're here, we can do that. It is a nice, easy job because it's a Carrera chip in a Carrera car. All the wires on here are colour-coded to match these ones, and all the plugs fit, male-female plugs, to match these as well. So you sort of can't go wrong. I'll just pull these up and out the way. That's where the chip should go, digital or analog. If you're not familiar with Carrera digital, the chip's the same, but there's this little thing you can take out here, which removes that. And then the digital sensor LED pokes through that hole. So all analog Carrera cars can be chipped to digital. Certainly the more modern ones last 15 years or so. So I'll get on with this. Now, while I've got you here, I need to ask you a question, because I've got some things I want to do that are slot car related, but lead up, as often things that I do have a habit of doing, to something bigger somewhere in the future. But in order to do the bigger thing somewhere in the future, I need to what am I doing? Oh, I don't know. I need to learn some things and then use the things I've learned to do the other bigger thing, if you get me. And some of the things I need to learn along the way include messing around with Arduinos. Now, an Arduino is like a little tiny programmable computer. You may or may not have heard of it. If you watch Pete from Show Me Slot Cars, he's got a 3D printed garage that he built, and he has an Arduino controlled sliding door on it. It's very clever. And that got me thinking about things, and then I started, you know, looking around YouTube late at night, just going down rabbit holes, and I went down the Arduino rabbit hole. There's no two ways about that. And I started thinking, oh, there's lots of things you could do with that. You could just build a really basic lap counter, for example, with a sensor that goes in the track, a bit like the ones Marty Ford used when he built his analog timing system. You could build a really basic lap counter that every time a car goes over the sensor in the track, just adds a lap and displays it on a little LCD screen. Nice and basic, very simple. And I think I could probably, if I write the bit of code and then show you how to build it and show you how to transfer the code I've already written onto the Arduino so that it works, I reckon I could probably come up with some kind of a cookbook recipe that you could follow, and you could probably build one yourself. The question is, given that much as you may have a quite advanced computer in your hand that you call a telephone, that you use every day, a lot of people, when you talk about an actual computer, get a bit scared. They don't see the two as the same thing, although they are really. So, what do you think? Do you want me to do a little series of videos on this is an Arduino and let's build a sensor into the track and make it count the laps, and then maybe as a follow-up video make it so that it counts the laps and times the laps? You know, because I think if you had an analog track with 2 lanes in it and a little LCD screen, and it just showed you lane 1, lane 2 and how many laps you'd done and what your latest time was and what your fastest time was, for a lot of people that'd be all you'd need. You know, you don't need the whole kind of super duper enabled smart race thing, do you? And if you're building a wood track or something and you need a timing system, some of those DS timing systems are quite expensive by the time you've added all the bits in. And it might be nice to do a sort of basic budget build. But if I start talking about computers on my slot car channel, are you lot all going to turn off? I'm worried about that. I'm going to do it myself anyway, but I'm just worried you won't be interested in the content, and I'm worried that you might go, oh no, it's turned into a computer channel, and just switch off completely. So what do you reckon? If I did it, would you get the bits and have a go and build one? I mean, it might cost you as much as £60–70 to get all the bits of kit. And then from that, we can probably build just a lap timer. Maybe we could put some extra sensors in the track and, I don't know, could build a speed trap as well. Wouldn't that be interesting? So there's all sorts of things that would lead on from a basic timer. All of which might be it. Here's a thing with these Carrera buses. These wires go right across the hole where you're supposed to fit the shell back on. then you have trouble like I did just then. But it might be interesting to sort of walk you through it. Maybe some of you will suddenly go down a rabbit hole yourselves and go, oh, you can do all sorts of things with Arduinos. Well, you can. And because I do coding for a job anyway, this is still not fitting on here properly. What is going on? Might be time for a bit of blue tack. So yeah, maybe it will send some of you down a rabbit hole of mucking around with bits of computers. I mean, Arduinos are great because you can do all sorts of things with them. You could control moving scenery. You can do the time lapse. You can just all sorts of stuff. It would be an addition to the hobby, but like I say, a lot of you guys run away at the sound of somebody talking about computer programming. So just a little bit nervous, and I thought I'd ask you if it's the sort of thing you'd like to learn, because I'd probably like to teach it to you. Not in a really involved, complicated, geeky way, but just get this code, put it on here. Here's how the code works roughly. If you're interested, have a go. So I thought that might be fun. It might be a thing to do over the winter, especially as, you know, life gets a bit quieter in the winter and you're looking for things to do. Rabbit holes to fall down. Stuff to learn. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's just me. So there we are. That's one of them. It is very simple, as you've seen me do. Just plug the plugs in. And then spent ages trying to get the body to fit back on the chassis. They are a bit of an oddity, these buses. They really are. Right, that's one. Now, obviously, the other thing that I have told you about with a post is that we are going to do an advent calendar again this year. I was umming and ahhing about it because it is quite an undertaking, and I've done 2 in a row. But I think if I've done 2 in a row, that then means it's a permanent fixture, isn't it, really? Mrs. Slotar loves a Christmas joke, so she's already got those ready. My main problem at the moment is I had a bit of a count up, and no, I didn't count all the slot cars. I've only counted this year's slot cars, so I haven't broken the golden rule. But we know we're halfway through October, and well, most of the way through October, and so far I haven't got 24 cars this year, because I spent a bit of time doing, you know, the Legends Bar scenery at the start of the year. That took up a few weeks, and the pit lane build and a few other bits and pieces that weren't just getting a new slot car and talking about it. I just haven't got to 24. So I'm having a little bit of a, not a panic, but we might be running out of weeks to have videos about cars to get me up to 24. So I don't know whether to break the golden rule and go, okay, so here's an advent calendar video and it's not about a car, it's about a piece of scenery. Would that work? If I told you the story of a bit of scenery, that's a bit odd, isn't it? I don't know. So, you know, I'm probably 2 or 3 cars short of a picnic. No, 2 or 3 cars short of a full advent calendar. So what should we do in those other videos? What do you think? I mean, I will try and get that far and get that many cars done, but I've got some white kits I've got to do, which might take a while. And like I say, I'm running out of weekends in a lot of ways. Like I say, this is a simple job, but if I'm talking to you, it's motivated me to get the job done. You know, And it gives you something to watch and listen to while you're drinking your cup of coffee. Oh, that reminds me. I finished that and I didn't reward myself properly. Right. Ta-da. It's like Groundhog Day, this. Right, that's all those plugged in. That's the guide. Come on, guide. We'll have another bit of blue tack or two, just to hold these wires down as well so we don't have the same problem again. Now, there's one thing about these Carrera buses, if you haven't got one and you're thinking of getting one, they're a bit shonky at the front where it comes to fitting the thing back together, because they come with two little hooks just on the front here, which I have snapped off, you'll notice. And I thoroughly recommend, once you get one of these, if you can manage to get the shell off it, snap those two off. It just makes life easier. They kind of locate into these little spaces here, except that these have to locate into these little sockets down here as well. So how are you supposed to push it down and push it forwards at the same time to locate both bits? It's stupid, it's fiddly, it doesn't need to happen at the front here, and these two bolts will hold everything in anyway. So yes, always snap those two little things off. Makes life a lot easier getting these shells on and off these buses. It's an irrelevant thing. I'm hoping when the new ones come out, Carrera realised that and they've just blanked that bit of the injection mould off, because it doesn't need to be there and it's just an inconvenience, really. So squeeze these in here, try this, see if we can get this one to go back on top properly. Oh yeah, that was a lot better than the red one, wasn't it? No, still not quite right. Those wires are, there's too many wires in here for the amount of space under the shell, quite frankly. Not a lot of room in there, quite a lot of stuff. Try that again. That's better. So yes, please leave some comments. Tell me what you think about the idea of a bit of computering tutorial-y stuff that's related to slot cars and might make your life a bit easier if you could build a little gadget and save yourself some money. And what do you think we should do about these missing days in the advent calendar? I mean, we could just have a thing where I do a coffee and a chat, just generally a chat, I suppose. But what seasonal slot car topic could I chat about? Is there one? I don't know. Lots of questions for you. Please, please, leave a comment. Give me some suggestions, because while what I do on the channel is really for me, and it's nice that you guys like it, the advent calendar is definitely something I do for you, not for me. So it's yours. You should probably tell me what you want. So there we are. Those are now all nicely back together and will all be working properly. So I hope you've enjoyed your drink, coffee, tea, or whatever it is. I'm going to finish mine now, and thanks for your company. Good chat.